Dear viewers, let's talk a little bit about space food. Today, Mikhail Kornienko is taking everyone to the space kitchen. He will show you what the ISS crew has for lunch, how to season soup with salt, and how to drink a glass of water in weightlessness. You will also witness one of the medical experiments performed on the astronaut and see the sunset the way you've never seen it before, through the windows of the International Space Station. Just look at how short it is in space. Food supplies are delivered to the orbiting station several times a year by cargo vehicles. The crew has a so-called standard menu, compiled during the preparation stage back on Earth and based on personal preferences of every astronaut. The selection of space dishes comprises a total of more than 200 items. This is our space dinner table. I'll show you what we are having for lunch today with the help of my friend and expedition commander Gennady Ivanovich. Today, we are lunching with beef fajitas from our American partners. They are contained in this package and need to be reheated first. For this purpose, we have a special food warmer. We put the food item over here under these strings. This surface is hot. Then we close it. And in 10 minutes, we get hot beef fajitas. But let's leave it for now and go back to our table. I'll just close the warmer, not to waste tea, as Gennady Ivanovich pointed out. Rye bread, really delicious, I have to say. Gennady's choice is a can of salmon and jelly. Those are really small cans. As an appetizer. And my appetizer would be eggplant caviar. This is mutton with vegetables. This is a space soup. I will show you how to turn it into real soup. But first, let's go over the rest of the things here. These are biscuits that were delivered by the cargo vehicle 428. They were sent to me by my family. They are really nice and delicious, but unfortunately, they are not included in the standard menu. So my family helps me out here. And this is a cream soup that Gennady Ivanovich, sorry for slang, whipped up for himself. Almost all of the food supplied to astronauts is produced at a special space food factory, which is absolutely unique in its operation. Apart from canned foods, it mostly manufactures freeze-dried products. First, the dish is cooked in a usual manner and subjected to freezing. Then a special technology is used to extract all the liquid. To turn the dehydrated soup into a normal one, astronauts simply have to add some water to it. This is how this soup looks. I showed it to you already. I tear the vacuum package open and cut a hole in the pouch for putting in water. Notice that I don't cut it all the way to prevent that small piece from floating around. It's very important in weightlessness. We don't want any flying particles or objects that can get into your eyes, lungs, or somewhere else. There's a valve here that I use to hook up my soup to the water dispenser. The manufacturer recommends mixing it with 200 milliliters of hot water. So I turn it on and press the button. The water starts going into my soup. Hot water. 200 milliliters. And then I shake it like this. I have some drops getting out. To deal with them, I need a towel, but we haven't brought it yet. And in 10 minutes, I will have a delicious vegetable cream soup. Just give it time to dissolve. And to keep it hot, I have this thermos. A personal thermos. Yes, my personal thermos. They send us these sort of Ugg boots here. There are some cold places on the station, and these boots keep your feet warm. By the way, I go on spacewalks in these boots. I put them on before donning a spacesuit. They are very soft. They conserve heat and my feet don't get cold. And they also keep my soup hot. This is what they call street smarts. And now, let's go back to the main course of our space menu. Mutton with vegetables. We have a special heater right here. I turn it on, open it, and put the can in it to heat it up. Yeah, get a closer shot of the slots. There's a special adapter for smaller cans, but my eggplant caviar doesn't need to be heated. But it's possible. You just put in the can like this, and its bottom would touch the heating element, so you can heat up small cans with meat, for example. Close it and turn it on. Wait a minute. And then we put in our bread. Rye bread with coriander. There are special slots for bread here. And wheat and rye bread, just like this. Close it, and in 10 minutes we'll get a can of hot main dish. We'll open it and have our space lunch. Bread for the ISS crew is baked in Moscow in a scientific research institute for the baking industry. Compared to your regular bakery, its output is really small, only 50 kilograms per year. A kilogram of space bread accounts for 800 of these loaves. Their small size ensures that astronauts don't have to cut or bite them in microgravity. After baking and packaging, they are subjected to a special heat treatment. High temperature kills bacteria and mold spores, which should be prevented from getting on the space station at all costs. Well, dear friends, let's get down to our space meal. My lunch is hot now. So, I'm taking the can out. Beef with vegetables. It's really hot. Mutton. Mutton with vegetables, yes. Oh, did I say beef? I misspoke. And then I do this. I already opened one can, so I won't open this one. But this is a regular can opener provided to us by RKK Energia. It has the corresponding logo. Here's my eggplant caviar that I have opened already. We are going to eat it. This is our bread, see? Oops. It went flying. Fingernail size. This is salt, our special space salt. Actually, it's a water-based salt solution. You have to understand what can happen with regular salt in microgravity. It will fly all over the place and can easily get into your eyes. Not a pleasant experience. We have different appetizers. This is a Caucasian appetizer and horseradish, and a lot of others. We didn't want to take out everything. They bring diversity into our ration and make it nicer. Here we have a clove of garlic that was sent here on the recently arrived cargo spacecraft with the rest of condiments, food products, apples, and onions. Show the dessert, Misha. Yeah, dessert. We were sent these candies. Both me and Gennady Ivanovich drink tea without sugar for health reasons. So we are chasing it with some candies. Back on Earth, I don't have a sweet tooth, but here, priorities change. And your body starts craving sweets. So this is all I have to say about our space food. Water, same as food products, is delivered to the station by resupply spacecrafts. A cargo vehicle is carrying around 2 tons of payload, a bit more than 2 tons. This includes water, oxygen, maintenance equipment for the station, scientific equipment, and so on. These valves allow us to transfer water and oxygen to the station. We hook up our utility systems here, water pipes included, and pump water into Rodnik tanks of the service module into American CWCs, contingency water carriers, and also into our water containers called EDV. Then the water is pumped into water dispensers, the food warmer, the electron system that generates oxygen, and wherever else it's needed. Proper use of water in weightlessness is a science in its own right. Special systems and unusual inventions are there to help astronauts save water. In space, every milliliter counts. I'd like to explain briefly how a space cup works. Our Italian colleagues recently sent a coffee maker to the station that works in microgravity conditions. And they also sent us cups that allow us to drink in weightlessness. This is how they look: a broad base and a narrow tip. Because of the capillary action, water comes to the narrow part of the cup, and you can drink freely from it, as if you are on the ground. I'm going to show you. This is how we drink our coffee. You know, it's a really unexpected piece of comfort, drinking from a cup in space. Our next piece is about behavior of water and microgravity without these cups that I showed you. This is Gennady Ivanovich taking care of me, so I would stay full of energy during broadcasting. This orange was brought to us by Progress. Anyway, we have these water bags aboard the station. I'm hooking it up to the dispenser. You can probably hear it working now. The bag is expanding. That's it. We got ourselves a full bag of clean, potable water. I'm closing the tap. And now I can drink this water. Actually, it's not water. There's a hint of lemon. Lemonade. I put in a straw and open it. You can see that it's not leaking. No water gets through it. It's a very convenient thing, and I can drink from it just like this. I open the valve, and you can see how everything went flying. Small droplets of water. You have to be really careful with water in weightlessness, especially when you wash yourself. For example, after working out, because it starts flying all over the place, as you just saw. So, here we have our lemonade. This droplet will become a perfect sphere once it settles down, and it has air bubbles inside. I will even get out of the picture so you could see it in a close shot. And now allow me to actually drink this thing. You know, lecturers usually have a glass of water in front of them, and I have a dry mouth as I feel nervous speaking in front of such an honorable audience. So I'll take the liberty of drinking this. Thank you. The service module in the Russian segment of the International Space Station is a multi-purpose block. It's a galley for the crew, a vantage point for watching the Earth through the windows in a laboratory full of various scientific equipment. Today, you are going to witness a medical experiment on Mikhail Kornienko. The astronauts filmed it in real time, specially for our viewers. Copy, Mikhail. We are ready. Great then. We are ready too. Let's start.
Good afternoon, crew.
Well, my friends, I've been assigned an experiment. To avoid making a mistake, I will read the goal of the experiment from the paper. The goal is to establish a connection between changes of blood pressure in the carotid artery caused by redistribution of blood into the upper torso in microgravity and changes in sensitivity of the central mechanism of respiration. To translate it into plain English, this device here creates negative pressure on my legs. Blood redistributes in my body almost to match its distribution in Earth gravity. It's called CHIBIS. Yeah, this machine is called CHIBIS. At the same time, it's performing an EKG. I have electrodes under my t-shirt and measuring my blood pressure. During the experiment, I will hold my breath for as long as I can after inhaling or exhaling.
Full exhale and hold your breath.
So now the ground control tells me to breathe out and hold my breath. Complying? The negative pressure CHIBIS suit forces astronauts' blood system to work as if they were on Earth. It basically pulls blood into his legs, whereas in weightlessness, blood constantly rushes to his head. This is done to simulate Earth's gravity. It makes my blood redistribute. I hold my breath after fully inhaling and then after fully exhaling. And then the same sequence is repeated with negative pressure. Fully inhaling and fully exhaling. Then the difference is analyzed and scientists reach some conclusions. That's the essence of the experiment. Later they will give us some recommendations about fighting the negative consequences of life in microgravity.
Mikhail, exhale and hold your breath.
Copy. Fully inhale and hold my breath. Say again, is it exhaling?
Full exhale.
Copy. Exhale and hold my breath.
Copy.
The ground control is closely watching the experiment, so the only thing left for Mikhail Kornienko to do is to follow commands and listen to the radio.
It's just a plan. We used to It's just a plan. We used to It's just a plan. Where we used to It's just a
Every day, astronauts take part in several scientific researches, provide maintenance for the orbiting station, take a lot of photos, and make videos. Crew members have a really tight schedule, and even their free time and days off are often spent at work, so appealing with its out-of-this-world beauty. I guess watching the Earth from the International Space Station, and generally from space, is one of the most majestic and amazing things to do. In these moments, you feel especially grateful for the unique opportunity to look at our planet from this distance, to see the entire Earth when you are so far away from it. You have a special appreciation for the wonderful world we live in. Trust me, our planet is the best place in the whole universe. At least I haven't seen anything more beautiful from here. Not a long time ago, we have passed Moscow and Star City. Unfortunately, the orbit inclination is about 40 degrees, but in good weather conditions, the structure of Moscow is clearly visible, and you can even take a picture of Star City, although at a big angle. Right now, we are getting close to the Ural Mountains, which I want to catch on camera. I can get a shot of the southern part of the Ural Mountains. No wonder astronauts take so many wonderful pictures during their mission and then post them on social networks like Instagram. One moment, and I think it's really great that we have this opportunity to take pictures of the Earth, because there's no one else to see it from this distance. Hopefully, you will also be able to enjoy these views with my help. I'm going to show you one of the most amazing places on the station. It's located in the US segment and called Cupola. It's a sort of observation module facing Earth with 6 windows that give you a 360-degree panoramic view. And of course, when you dive in there, you have an unforgettable experience. Let's go. Well, we are in the cupola now. Amazing place, as our American space friends like to say. I will show you several views that open from this amazing place. Consider them just space sketches. This is the remote manipulator system that was used to assemble almost the entire station. It's a Canadian robotic arm. So we go to Canada to receive training on this system. It's a very complex thing with a complicated control system, but it's very effective. And here we can see a rotating antenna that provides us with communications. Next, our MRM-1 module that was delivered here 5 years ago on my first flight. And this, my friends, is our cargo vehicle that we were so excited to meet. And finally, watching sunset online. Just look at how short it is in space. Amazing view. That's it. The sun is gone. The only thing left is a blue strip of the atmosphere. In just 24 hours on the space station, you can watch 16 sunrises and sunsets. That's how many orbits the ISS makes around the Earth in this period of time. So by the end of his one-year expedition, Mikhail Kornienko will complete more than 5,000 round-the-world trips. But even though he has such a unique opportunity, his biggest dream is to come back home. People often ask me what I miss most in space. Well, the answer is probably trivial. I think being in space, all astronauts, without exception, miss the Earth. Although the views here are spectacular. But sometimes you just want to walk on dew-covered grass, to swim in a river, to look up at the sunrise, not down. And you want the sunrise to last for as long as it is supposed to, not just 10 seconds, like in space. Of course, I want to go back to Earth, and every one of us misses it. Keep watching, and you will see a Russian astronaut literally getting closer to Earth for several hours. We will tell you about spacewalks, the most dangerous and demanding work on the space station. You will see how spacesuits are being prepared for use and how astronauts protect themselves against space radiation. You will find out what allows them not to freeze outside the orbiting station and why astronauts lose several kilograms of weight after that work. Spacewalking is the most dangerous work one might need to carry out during the expedition on the ISS. Today, we are going to show you how Russian cosmonauts prepare for it and explain why they even need to leave the orbital station. You will find out who manufactures spacesuits that are resistant to temperature drops and radiation. You will also see how crew members relax after hard work outside the station. Dear viewers, a little bit of space acrobatics. It's quite common for people on Earth to call it a walk in space. But in reality, extravehicular activity, or EVA, is a necessity. It's the type of job without which the ISS couldn't have been built and successfully operated for so many years. Assembling new modules, installing various equipment, conducting a whole range of scientific experiments, performing station maintenance, all that requires regular visits in outer space. We'll perform the spacewalk in Russian Orlan spacesuits. Right now, the crew is getting them ready. We are changing the replaceable components. Here, you can see the insides of the spacesuit that ensures our vital functions in outer space. The blue part is a liquid-cooled garment that an astronaut puts on before egress. We are going to adjust the size of the spacesuits. There are special straps inside them that allow us to do that. We use them to change the length of arms and legs. Also, every astronaut chooses gloves of his size. Without special equipment, a person wouldn't live in space even 1 minute. Temperatures ranging from -120 in the shade to +140 in the sun, vacuum, and ionizing radiation. But spacesuits do more than just keep a person alive in this hostile environment. They make it possible to work and achieve clear results, be it science or further building and upgrading of the orbital station. Russian cosmonauts have their spacesuits made for them on the research and development production enterprise Zvezda, located outside Moscow. It was this very factory, kept classified for so many years, that produced out-of-this-world suits for the flight of Yuri Gagarin and the first-ever spacewalk of Alexei Leonov. Man has gone out into space. Man has gone out into space. Naturally, EVA suits have changed a lot since the first spacewalk. The modern Russian spacesuit Orlan is an autonomous system that makes it possible to work outside the station for more than 7 hours. Commencing ascent. Number 3. Number 3 is ready. Number 3 is ready. Close the door of the decompression chamber. Volodya, once again, what is your thermal status? Ready to carry out the experiment. Before being sent into space, Orlan is tested and tried out dozens of times on the ground, both at the manufacturing stage and after general assembly. Every spacesuit has a lifetime of up to 15 spacewalks. In between them, Orlan doesn't have to go back on Earth. All the maintenance is performed on board. Certain structural features allow for size adjustment so that one spacesuit can fit 2 astronauts of different height and build. Spacesuits are stored in the docking compartment, which serves as an airlock from which we start our EVA. And of course, spacesuits have to be prepared for a spacewalk. We get them ready for service by checking equipment and systems and changing the replaceable elements. We install new oxygen tanks, both main and backup, check if they are filled up. We take care of the lithium hydroxide cartridge that removes carbon dioxide during a spacewalk. We also have to put in new moisture collectors and new batteries. As the spacesuit is autonomous, we don't use umbilicals. Instead, a special spacesuit battery provides energy for all spacesuit systems. I'll tell you a little bit about preparing a spacesuit for service and handling its replaceable units. Right now, I'm opening the small door through which an astronaut enters the spacesuit. As part of the preparation, we check the liquid-cooled garment that provides thermal regulation for a spacesuit operator. This is a headset used for communication, sanitary gloves. By the way, we install a new set of gloves on the spacesuit every time. They are disposable for safety reasons. At the very most, we might use them 2 times. Almost all of the equipment is installed right here, behind this cover. Battery is also located here, but I'll put it in later. Here we have the main oxygen tank, and here the backup oxygen tank. This is a lithium hydroxide cartridge, a liquid collector, and a tank with water used for cooling. A spacesuit is like a thermos. It's both heat and cold proof. That's why working in it would be physically impossible without an additional special suit. We should check the liquid-cooled garment to make sure that all the water tubes that you can see here are intact, that inflow and outflow are in order. The garment will be hooked up to the insides of the spacesuit. It is responsible for cooling down the body of an operator working in the spacesuit. You can decrease cooling by slowing down the water flow with a special regulator on the front face of the spacesuit. The garment is hooked up to the water system of the spacesuit with these connectors. They come in different sizes, so an operator can choose one suitable for him. During the preparation, we also clean water systems in the spacesuit and in the liquid cooling garment to remove all the air bubbles. One of the replaceable elements is an oxygen tank. I will now replace the main oxygen tank. With a pressure of 400 hectopascal, it works for 6 to 7 hours, even up to 8. The backup tank is used in case of emergency. If the integrity of a spacesuit is compromised, we have this diagram on the glove to help us calculate the time we have left. So, with the pressure staying at 400 hectopascal, the backup tank will last you 30 minutes, of course, if the leak is not too big. It's plenty of time for the operator to get to the egress device, get inside the docking compartment, close the hatch, and start repressurization. Altogether, onboard preparations for EVA take about 3 weeks. They include multiple inspections of the spacesuits, certain operations in the airlock, the starting point of a spacewalk, and configuring instruments and systems that will be needed on the outside. Nothing is too important here, as the stakes are very high. Pressurizing spacesuits for practice in the backup airlock of the transfer compartment. Right now we are pressurizing the spacesuit till the 0.2 level. The spacesuit is equipped for egress. All the attachable components are in place. I have 0.2. 0.2 pressure leak testing is on. In the course of training, Gennady Padalka and Mikhail Kornienko imitate various nominal and emergency situations. Out there in the vacuum of space, they have to be prepared for any turn of events. Today, as part of preparations for our EVA, we had to make this package. At first glance, it might seem disorganized, but in fact, it's very practical and thought out. We can open it up while wearing the spacesuit with our hands and gloves. Inside of it, we have, for example, some containers. That's how they look. I'd like to point out that every part of this package is secured with an RET, which is short for retractable tether. They prevent things from floating away. Here we have sealed containers, 3 of them actually. They are designed for collecting samples outside the station, at the outlets of the electron system, and in the thruster firing area. Later, all of them will be analyzed on Earth. Also, attached to this package, on the outside, is this tool with special swabs, designed actually for cleaning of the exterior window surface. In the course of the station's flight, you know by now, and it's been quite a while, they become covered with an oily film caused by engine burns. So we have to clean it off to restore good visibility. So today we prepared these 2 packages. I haven't told you yet about this one. Here we have scissors to cut the antenna cable. It's about this thick, so the scissors are reinforced. We have a reel of new antenna to replace the old one, some carabiners. And here are some fasteners. I guess this doesn't tell you much, but anyway, these are the 2 packages we are going to take with us outside. We are going to talk now about removable equipment installed on the spacesuit before a spacewalk.
This equipment includes carabiners that prevent spare parts from flying off into space, tools, and so on.
This is a so-called OTA, short for Orlan Tether Adapter, which is rigidly mounted on our spacesuits in 2 points. It has a swing arm attached to it, this small foldable platform. The swing arm is fitted with a tool called a caddy, a small platform for different tools. For example, a wrench, a stopping box, a torque wrench for tightening bolts and nuts. It's very easy to handle even with your gloves on.
A range of carabiners. This is a small retractable tether, also called RAT. It can be used to secure some equipment, like these fasteners, to prevent them from flying away before installment took place. After installing the fastener, the carabiner naturally unclasps. We also have big retractable tethers. They come in large and small sizes. An important part of a spacesuit is a GoPro camera. Being attached to a spacesuit like this, it films everything we do outside the station with a wide-angle lens. To prevent the camera from getting too hot or too cold, we keep it in a sealed box. Then we close it like this, and it's now as protection with a heat-reflective sheeting. Both spacesuits have these cameras. There are also American cameras attached to our helmets.
Moreover, our actions during the spacewalk will be followed by stationary cameras outside the ISS, which are installed on the SRMS arm,
Also known as Canadarm, and along the truss.
Our camera can both shoot video and take photos. Naturally, it is secured with a small retractable tether called an RET. And this Velcro holds it in place on the spacesuit. After egress, we will move them a bit higher to have a clear visual on our work area and to take pictures of the entire station. All right, and now I'll try to show you our movement routes and working areas. Astronauts exit the station through the VL-1 hatch of the Russian airlock. Then they bring the equipment to this egress device and secure it. Here you can see a solar array. A soft handrail will be installed in this area. From here, astronauts will proceed to the assembly compartment. Over there, in the very end, you can see a small piece of the service module of the Russian segment. The assembly compartment is where the new antenna will be installed. So the crew will be working at the end of the service module. Unfortunately, we can't see the fourth surface with the window that has to be cleaned. Thousands of fantastic photos and rare videos were made through the windows of the service module. Cleaning one of them is naturally only a part of work outside the station.
The preparation starts on Earth long before the mission.
Shall we leave it like that? Yes. A mock-up of the Russian segment of the orbital station has been assembled in the Hydrolab of Star City.
The underwater modules are exactly the same size as the ones on the ISS.
Following the plan of the future spacewalk, the crew is training in hydro-weightlessness conditions. Their spacesuits are loaded with several kilograms of lead
to prevent the cosmonauts from resurfacing or sinking by keeping them in a state of neutral buoyancy. For every real-life EVA, there are 3 practices in a swimming pool. I don't know how you could perform spacewalks without getting the hang of work in a spacesuit, without practicing typical and atypical mission operations underwater. It's all part of our training, and of course it helps a lot. The first one to egress the station is the more experienced Gennady Padalka. This is his 10th spacewalk. For Mikhail Kornienko, it's only the second one.
The astronauts move by attaching carabiners to external handrails.
Every spacesuit has 2 safety tethers, 1.5 and 2.5 meters long. A solid protection on an autonomous journey. The smallest push, even just touching the station with your finger, makes you fly. So you have to hold yourself with your arm too, and that's additional strain. If astronauts become really tired, medics can give them some time to rest, because you need to have enough strength throughout the 6 hours of the spacewalk. Mikhail Kornienko is approaching the window he has to clean. The remaining onboard crew members are ready to take pictures of him from the other side. Using a special cleaning tool, the cosmonaut removes the oily film that builds up on the glass when the station's thrusters fire. Just a few minutes of work take care of the space stir like it has never been there in the first place.
All operations in outer space are scheduled down to the minute.
Mostly it's technical maintenance of the orbiting station, rigging fixtures for the onboard communications antenna, installing handrails, replacing equipment and configuring instruments. Some might say nothing spacey about that,
but all of that is what makes normal life on board the ISS possible.
Also, during their spacewalk, Gennady Padalka and Mikhail Kornienko work on the scientific program of the year-long expedition. As part of various experiments, they take multiple photos, collect samples that have to be delivered to labs on Earth, and dismantle expired scientific equipment and send it off to fly.
The footage made by the astronauts shows the station entering the Earth's shadow.
In this moment, the temperature drops down more than 200 degrees. During the crew's EVA, the ISS completed 3 full orbits around our planet. Gennady Padalka and Mikhail Kornienko finished their work ahead of schedule. Their spacewalk lasted 5 hours and 34 minutes.
Oleg Kononenko is meeting Mikhail and Gennady on board. He is also a Russian cosmonaut. We'll get to know him closer soon.
Oleg will take part in a unique experiment on robot control. But for now, you can see how the space conquerors rest. And once again realize that astronauts are exceptional people, prepared for extraordinary deeds, even after hard work in outer space. Dear viewers, a bit of space acrobatics specially for you. Oops. This happens sometimes. And a bit of gymnastics. Even with just one hand. Can you do that?
You are very lucky, dear viewers, because today you are going to see one of the most unusual space experiments. We are going to control robots back on Earth right from here, from the International Space Station. You will also witness a rare orbital operation, relocating a Soyuz spacecraft, find out how satellites are launched from aboard the ISS, and see more space experiments from Mikhail Kornienko. I'm not putting a fizzy in this bubble. Look what happens. ISS to VZG-1 to Moscow Mission Control. Listening, Misha. While Mikhail Kornienko was talking to Russian ground controllers, St. Petersburg and Munich were already prepared to receive the signal from space. Scientists from 2 robotic institutes in Russia and Germany collaborate on an unusual experiment called Contour 2. We are ready. Okay, we are too. What time shall we? In an hour? The Munich lab of the German Space Agency is watching the events that are taking place in St. Petersburg. It was the Russian State Scientific Center for Robotics and Technical Cybernetics that designed and built a redundant manipulator. Although even scientists themselves call it Meerkat robot, like the animal famous for its upright posture. The goal of this experiment is to try out the infrastructure that would allow us to use these robots that can, for example, move on wheels to explore other planets. The task is to actually use this pen and to go around and touch all the targets. The control station for the St. Petersburg Mirka was delivered to the ISS in the summer of 2015 by a Russian cargo spacecraft. The Soyuz that brought new equipment was under command of Mikhail Kornienko. The astronaut already practiced working with it on Earth, but microgravity provides a completely different environment. So the orbital stage of the experiment turned into a test both for the equipment and for the space crew. Our country has a long-standing tradition of designing technologies for remote control of robots and other planets of the solar system. The development of these technologies started with the creation of lunokhod rovers and space manipulators for collecting moon soil samples in the 60s and 70s. The Contour 2 space experiment simulates one of the possible scenarios of exploring other planets, for example, the moon, with the help of the robotic manipulators placed on their surface and controlled by a human operator from an orbiting space ship. Within a framework of this experiment, the Earth is designated as a target planet, and the ISS, where I am located now, is orbiting manned spacecraft. An astronaut aboard the ISS is a human operator who controls a robot or a group of robots on the surface of the target planet via telecommunications. Control of the robot located at a distance of 400 kilometers from the space station is performed with this joystick, a product of collaboration of Russian and German scientists. During the experimental session, I will control the robot using the video feedback from the robot camera. The video feedback will be shown on the display of this computer. Usually during the session of robot control, I can't get distracted, but today I made an exception. Say that everything is okay. Roger that. Let's start. The astronaut's task is to strike all the targets in the robot's reach as fast as possible. The targets around the Mirka from every side and are programmed in such a way that it's impossible to predict which light will go off next. Let's start. Right now, I'm touching the flashing targets with the robot located on Earth. You can clearly see tense muscles on the astronaut's arm. Although Oleg tried controlling the Mirka back on Earth, he now has microgravity to take into account. Many things at first are unsuccessful, and the robot touches wrong targets. But very soon, the astronaut and the Mirka start working as a whole. The Contour 1 experiment had it the other way around. The manipulator robot located on the ISS was controlled from Earth. Individual stages of space researches are made unique by the design of equipment that is not affected by space velocities and huge distance between the robot and the control station. Controlling robots from orbit is not unprecedented, but what makes this particular experiment so interesting is that we're using force-torque feedback.
So, when an astronaut is using this master manipulator or joystick, he feels the force with which the robot touches surfaces around him.
Astronauts cannot move the handle faster than the robot moves. In this case, we programmed our robot to behave in this way. It's the first time in world history that operations with such precision are conducted from aboard the orbital station. The margin of error is less than 1 centimeter. The task is completed. Repeat the task while applying pressure to the joystick. Please press start when ready. Pressing start and using the joystick. Turn off the lights. Left. Right. Left. Move clockwise along the circular arc. Counterclockwise. The task is complete. Release. Releasing. The task is completed. The session is successfully completed. Thank you. That's it. The experiment lasted 8 minutes. The scientists both in St. Petersburg and in Moscow were left happy by its results. The research has 19 more communication sessions planned. So robots created for the experiment will face new tasks, each time more and more difficult. I'll try to explain the purpose of this experiment. Actually, it's a very important mission, a significant step towards colonizing the moon. To colonize the moon, we have to build a lunar outpost, either on its surface or underneath it. It might take more than 1 month. That's why we would need robots that can be controlled from the lunar orbit, or even from the Earth. Robots, unlike humans, can work non-stop. Their purpose is to replace people on the first stage of colonizing Earth's natural satellite until we create conditions for a comfortable stay on the moon. And when people would be able to stay on the moon for a long time, similar to how we astronauts stay on the International Space Station, we could control robots directly from the moon base. Today, a cluster of orbital robots helping us to colonize space no longer seems science fiction. It's a matter of time and not even a long one. Especially if you consider the successful use of remote-controlled devices in orbit. For example, a huge part of the US segment of the space station was assembled with a Canadian robotic arm. And a robotic system of a Japanese module has been actively employed in conducting experiments outside the ISS. It can be controlled literally single-handedly. The Japanese module also has its own manipulator system, very similar to the Canadian one, but less dexterous. It has only 6 degrees of freedom compared to 7 degrees on the Canadian arm. That's more than enough for work with this platform. You can use it to grab any payload from the platform and transfer it to another place on the station, or to get hold of new payload delivered by cargo vehicles. The Russian segment of the ISS will also get a manipulator system of its own in 2017. It will be delivered into orbit together with a new Russian laboratory module, Nauka. The ISS is a perfect place for improving technologies of robot control that allow performing robotic operations both on the station itself and on different planets of the solar system. Today, equipment like this reduces the number of spacewalks and generally makes life in orbit easier. But without a person proficient in its control, it becomes just a useless pile of very expensive metal. So if you consider the diversity of work performed on missions, modern astronauts can easily be called jacks of all trades. Professionals on a space scale. An astronaut has various functions on the orbital station. We often become researchers, engineers, or operators. When we load and unload Progress spaceships, we turn into longshoremen. And as part of the educational experiment Great Star, almost every Russian cosmonaut has tried walking in a teacher's shoes. Last time was Mikhail Kornienko, and soon it will be my turn. I will introduce internet users to the year-long Russian-American medical program, of which I am an active participant. The International Space Station of today is not just a unique science lab with a great number of opportunities.
The altitude of the ISS orbit and its technical equipment make the orbiting station a kind of spaceport, suitable for launching small satellites.
One more satellite is going to be launched by the Japanese manipulator system. Standing by. Launch is about 30 seconds away. Microsatellites are launched into outer space with the help of a special launching device equipped with a powerful spring. 3, 2, 1, go. The satellite is a go. Okay, we are going to see it now through a different window. Here they go. Great. Astronauts kept watching the flight of these tiny space vehicles for a long time. The scope of their performance is in no way inferior to that of standard-sized satellites put into orbit with a carrier rocket. Today, they are used for the most various purposes: communications and environmental monitoring, photo survey and remote observation of the Earth, educational projects and science experiments. Russian crews launched microsatellites during work in outer space. But proposals have been made to build a separate launching station based on the Russian segment of the ISS. If this project comes to life, footage like this is likely to become a regular in the coverage of orbital expeditions. And now you are invited to witness a truly rare space operation. Relocation of a manned Soyuz spacecraft. The Russian cosmonaut Gennady Padalka has already returned to Earth with the title of the longest time space resident. In the course of his 5 expeditions, he spent a total of 900 days working in orbit, more than anyone else. Gennady Padalka was the one in command of the spacecraft that brought participants of the year-long mission to the station. Mikhail Kornienko of Russia and Scott Kelly of the US. He is also the one to have been trusted with a complicated operation that we called space reparking before a trip back home. Separation confirmed. Copy. We have a visual on the separation process. Checking the timer, turning on manual control mode. Confirm, copy. Separation confirmed, copy. Following the safety rules, the entire crew in their in-flight spacesuits take their places in the spacecraft for the period of relocation. Mikhail Kornienko and Scott Kelly fly the Soyuz for the last time. They will make the return trip back to Earth in March 2016 on a different vehicle. To make room on the docking port for that spacecraft, astronauts are flying now from one Russian module to another. The roll maneuver initiated, left at 45 degrees. Copy. Relocating a Soyuz is not an ordinary event. Not every crew has to deal with this task. You have to pilot the spacecraft away from the station, make a turn, fly around the ISS, and dock to another module. About 28 meters left to the station. Copy. After passing the 30-meter mark, don't align with the target. Stand by for changing the position of the station. Copy. Because of the short distance to the orbital station, relocation is always performed under manual control, as opposed to nominal space flights when the Corps' rendezvous system is in charge. But using Kurs in this instance would result in spending much more time and fuel. Redocking is one of the very few examples when the manual control is preferred.
In most other cases, the spaceship performs everything in autopilot mode.
This is the result of constant update of the most famous space vehicle, the Russian Soyuz. It's a bit like with our cars, you know. You look at it and the body might stay the same, but once every 3, 4, or 5 years, a new rig is produced, and you have these different car models. You get in one of them and it's not even equipped with AC, and another one would have parking sensors and everything. Now we have computers everywhere, so there's a constant update. Probably it's not so good for astronauts as they get fewer opportunities for piloting. The spaceship is becoming more and more independent. Your pitch angle is too big, I think. I see that, I'm slowing down. Only I don't see the target. Okay, I see it now. Slowing down. 15 degrees more. Yeah, I've got the target just now. Next, the spacecraft commander needs to carefully approach the station and align precisely with the docking port. Just to remind you, the entire maneuver is performed under manual control. Only an experienced space pilot can handle this operation. Contact. We feel contact. Very smooth. Very smooth. Copy. Capture confirmed. Copy. Contact and capture. Contact. Let's have a look at the space operation in accelerated mode. "18 minutes of flight, seen in only 18 seconds thanks to modern technology." Come on, open it. Come on, open it. Don't worry, this emergency situation took place aboard a simulator, not a real spacecraft. Inside of it is the crew of the Russian astronaut Sergei Volkov. We made this footage shortly before his trip into space. Sergei replaced Gennady Padalka on the station. He will also be the one to take the participants of a year-long mission back to the ground. The Cosmonaut Training Center provides this kind of practice all the time. While still on Earth, the crew goes through every possible emergency situation, learns how to manually control the spacecraft, and quickly respond to any unexpected turn of events. This program was used to train Mikhail Kornienko before his year-long mission. It's also the training program for young cosmonauts who just recently joined the Cosmonaut Corps. Luckily, most of these skills are never tried out in real life. And during their missions, commanders and onboard engineers conduct scientific researches rather than engage in firefighting. Are we a part of big science? Well, of course we are. I think a sheer number of institutes, not only in Russia, but in the world as well, that are involved in expeditions to the International Space Station, and the manned programs speak for itself. It says that it's serious, large-scale scientific work, a science project, if you will, that yields results one way or another. It might not be maybe this second or this minute or tomorrow, but the foundation that we are building is beneficial by all means. Practical applications of many of the space researches might become noticeable only many years or even decades later.
Something will be used for preparing an expedition to Mars. Something in the next flight to the ISS. Some of the experiments will turn out to be useless and fall into oblivion in no time. Some, on the contrary, will remain in our memory forever. Although it's not only science, it's life. Life in a different world, almost a complete opposite of the Earth. Dear viewers, let's see how liquids behave in microgravity. I think it's going to be entertaining. Let's watch. And now, we put a fizzy into this bubble. Watch what happens. We don't want this bubble to sit on a panel or someplace else, so I will direct it away like this. Look how beautiful it is. Our tablet has dissolved, and I think I can even drink some of it. Awesome, fizzy. Okay, it becomes dangerous. Well, dear viewers, that's how a liquid with a fizzy behaves in space. Have a good time.